welcome back to another episode of the Northern Steel Podcast. Episode 56, the Lamar Woodley episode, the Alex Highsmith episode, and another 56 players out there. We're here for week 2, baby. It's later in the week when we normally record. It's late at night, as you can tell by my stumbling. I can't even talk in a full, complete sentence. But we're here, we're doing it, we're doing a podcast for you, so you get to listen to this before we play the Cleveland Browns on Monday night. But first, Chris, we need to talk about losing against the 49ers. And I paused there because if you have not heard our podcast yet, and you heard me go, "First, Chris," yeah, I have a co-host. His name is Chris. Again, it's late at night. Here he is. Chris, say hi to the people.
Hey, what up?
That's right. Super great. It's been a long week. It's been a busy week. But we're going to get through this podcast kind of quickly because if you are a Steeler fan and you have been keeping up with the team, you've seen everybody and their grandma talk about how garbage this team played against the 49ers. But before we go into the in-depth analysis on that game, it's time to bring back one of my favorite segments from last year, going over the highlights, where Chris and I do funny commentary highlights from every game this week, win or lose. We don't shy away from the losses, right, Chris? So
I wish we did.
So for all the fans out there who get really mad when we make fun of your team when the Steelers win, here comes a great example about what it's like when the Steelers lose. So, jumping in, if you missed the 49ers game because you were way too busy struggling to find a will to live like we were, here are the highlights. First series after a great preseason, let's switch it up and throw in a obvious jet sweep for negative yardage. That is a really great idea. Thank you, Matt Canada. After a quick 3-and-out, it's now Brock Purdy's turn. With a 4th and 1, they're going to go for it already? Well, that's an easy decision to make when Kittle is wide open in the flat. So now let's take you to a 2nd and 1 for the 49ers. The Steelers defense just needs to bend but not break. Or they could give up a giant run to Christian McCaffrey. That's really cool too. But hey, just because they're driving doesn't mean they're going to score. It's 1st and goal. Don't let them score here. Or should I say, don't let them score easily. As Brandon Ayuk breaks Pat Pete's ankles. Sorry, Jets fans, I know it's too soon for you. And he is wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. Very, very easy score for the 49ers. I hope that's not the theme for today.
On the Steelers' next possession, Kenny in the offense tried to get something going. Kenny, who was perfect in the preseason, was absolutely perfect in this game at throwing it to the other team as DJ slips and Charvarius Ward picks off the ball, bringing the gutting fear into my stomach of what may happen. And on the opposing drive, Purdy places a beautiful pass to Brandon Ayuk yet again for a 23-yard gain. This zone defense scheme over the years continues to make me ask myself, what is the purpose of life? Hope to find that answer someday, but luckily we hold the 49ers to a field goal.
Niners ball again, and Purdy has a 1st and 15, but it doesn't matter. He gets a linebacker on Deebo Samuel and laughs as he throws an easy strike down the field. Speaking of Purdy laughing, he gets the last laugh as he throws another touchdown on Pat Pete, who said he could get a pick when he really is getting picked on, and he couldn't do a thing about it. He said Purdy had a tell in this offense. Well, let me tell you that this offense is already up 17-0 on the Steelers. Oh, I'm sorry, 17-0. Let's make that 20-0 right now by this field goal highlight. This is the highest paid defense in the league. I'm already distraught, depressed, and disgusted.
Now, during the 2-minute offense, we finally gained some traction and started driving down the field. Kenny felt more like a rock skipper than a rock QB that day, but McFarland makes a great play to keep the drive alive. And with 13 seconds, Kenny finally finds a move in the end zone for the Steelers' first of many touchdowns this season. Oh God, please let this offense thrive. I'll do anything. I'll quit drinking. Oh, okay. I don't really drink, but I promise not to start. Please, God, I beg you.
Maybe the Steelers can climb their way back into this thing as long as CMC doesn't run for a long touchdown right here. Well, it looks like I'm going to climb my way onto this stepladder into this nice inviting noose. After this, they go up again right away on us. Any ounce of energy left that was going into the Steelers side is immediately retracted by this soft, scared team letting up a touchdown right away after halftime. Offense can't do anything. Defense can't stop a cold. Is this game over yet? Please. Speaking of the offense, finally, here's a positive play. A throw to DJ who gets some yak, and then unfortunately his hamstring explodes, ending his day, ending the drive, and my joy all in one swift blow.
Oh, Don must be feeling generous as he gives me the only two notable highlights that the Steelers could muster as TJ Watt gets his third sack of the day and forces a fumble. This sack ties James Harrison for the Steelers' all-time franchise record for sacks. Congrats to you, TJ. I am so sorry you have to associate yourself with this soft sorry excuse for a football team. And speak of the fucking devil, Kenny throws into double coverage and gets picked off. Not the move, Kenny. What are you looking at? I'll tell you what I'm looking at. A deep-ass valley, as I'm now contemplating jumping off a cliff. And if I survive, I hope to find whatever hope I have in this team sitting at rock bottom. Oh my gosh. Why? Why? Really? Just making sure I lay down? Wait, whoa. They keep replaying it, literally mocking me. Why torture me longer? I get it, NFL. You're really just making sure I lay down on a busy road somewhere. Stop showing the different play, 15 different angles. Okay, it's week 1. I know anything can happen, but seriously, why do they keep showing this dang replay? We get it. They scored. Kenny threw it into his hands. I don't want to see this anymore.
Niners kick a field goal because they had to be a highlight. That had to be a highlight for some reason. And then they pay homage to Niners legend Colin Kaepernick kneeling down to end the game. Niners win 37 in a complete and total rout. Whew. There we go.
Big woof. Big
woof, big yikes, big ouch. That was a tough game, Chris. What are some quick thoughts, or as quick as you want to be, about that game?
You said quick thoughts? Bad. Horrible. Atrocious.
Yeah. Yep. I like those quick thoughts. Here's some more thoughts for you. I think the only player, a couple players, but by far the best player on the field was TJ Watt, getting 3 sacks, tying James Harrison's franchise record for the most sacks on the Steelers. He definitely came to play. Who else came to play on that game? Anthony McFarland on kick return. He also came to play. Had some really good kick returns. I think Highsmith did pretty well. I think Benton did pretty well. I think everybody else did really bad. Oh, who else, Chris? I'd love to know.
The entire 49ers team, including their coaches.
Interesting. The entire team, you say?
Yeah, and it was clearly evident as they did everything and we did nothing. It was pathetic.
Sometimes I think it's special when only 2 or 3 players came to play. But you're saying the whole team came to play. Wow. I can't imagine what that's like. What a fun time that would be.
It's been a while.
The inside linebackers, terrible. The rest of the D line after Cam Hayward got out, terrible. The safeties, especially strong safeties, terrible. Minka kind of lost. They're putting him in too many different positions. Terrible. Cornerbacks, Levi and Pat Pete, terrible. Offensive line, decent, but also left a lot of sacks, but not great. Kenny, terrible. By far the worst game of Kenny's career, I think. I've never seen him play that bad, and after watching him in this preseason where expectations were so high and my adrenaline and my serotonin was through the moon, In week one, it's already crashed down to earth. And I have really a different outlook on how this season's supposed to go.
Yeah, now obviously it was week one, so we have to keep that into consideration. However, it was just a pathetic showing. And honestly, maybe it was a good thing that this happened because I think after going undefeated in preseason, yeah, and, really dominating with that first team offense, maybe guys were thinking they were too good. Maybe they were on their high horse and not a place that you want to be going into the season. You want to be confident. You want to know that your team has the ability to score and drive, but to be as confident as we were and to literally only score one touchdown and get throttled like that, pathetic. And I really hope that we are being coached and just worked this week heading into Monday night.
And that's the thing. Are we being coached? Because I don't think we are. Because when it comes to all these players who are playing poorly, again, and again, okay, let me preface this by saying Kenny Pickett had a very, very, very bad game. Accuracy was terrible. There were options open. It could have been a closer game if he was even accurate at all or made better decisions. But Matt Canada's play calling and his route tree for his wide receivers are so bad. They're so bad, and they've continued to be bad. There's been multiple plays that people have pointed out on the All-22 film where it's a 3rd and 15, and all three wide receivers are running a 15-yard dig route, where it's 4th and 8 in the opponent's red zone, and all wide receivers are running verticals into the end zone. There's no creativity in the route concepts. There's no confusion. It's high school. It's bad.
Make it make sense. That's all I have to say is like the schemes, like, yeah, I don't think he makes the best play calls, but at the same time, you can at least make it make sense. Like having us go verticals in the red zone or whatever when we're like 8 yards out doesn't make sense. All right, be more creative. I was reading up on some things, and Ben, spoke on the game because I was watching his podcast, and he's like, when I was having games where I was down and having a hard time, like, my offensive coordinator literally worked with me and just gave me anything short, just something to like build my confidence, give me a couple passes in a row to like maybe build it, and I've gotten out of those funks. Never was the case. Matt Canada just sets up Kenny and the Steelers offense for failure. And this is something that we've said from day one. Like, yeah, it's awesome that we got all these new guys, but what good is it if we keep the same offensive mindset and all these plays? Nothing's going to change. That's the definition of insanity. It's not good.
The speed and the aggression that the Niners showed, they were ready to play football. They're already a championship caliber team. They came with all the energy and the decisiveness and the aggressiveness and quickness of Steelers past that we've loved to see, and they did that at once. Brock Purdy was very sharp. He looked very good. The Niners absolutely, and deservedly so, destroyed the Steelers. And it was very depressing to see, like as we're talking about coming off of a hopeful offseason and a great preseason. And to your point too, if they were riding that wave of preseason because everyone's starting to talk about them, why are you? You're a professional sports team, professional players. It's preseason. Why are you getting in your bag? Why are you getting, if you are, why are you getting a big head over preseason football? That's something I don't understand. So the loss hurt. Not only does it hurt that way, but it hurts literally as well too for players, as Cam Hayward got a groin injury, I believe, had to have surgery, and he's out for 8 weeks. Deontay Johnson has a hamstring injury. He's out for 4 weeks. as well as a plethora of other players. Chooks might not play next week. James Daniels is hurt. Anthony McFarland's new on the injury report. He might not play next week or this upcoming game. There's just Larry Ogunjobi still in and out of being hurt. There's a lot of injuries. It's not looking good.
No, injuries suck, but it's definitely part of the game. But obviously, when you lose out on big guys like Cam and DJ, that's definitely going to play its part. And we really need guys to be stepping up big time coming into this next week. The next 8 weeks for as far as Cam is concerned, or 4 weeks for DJ or whatever. So, gosh, like that was painful, not only to lose in that manner, but also get the injuries to these certain players and just our team in general. Dagger.
It was definitely one of the worst ways to start off the season. I think if we predicted the season, even though you and I predicted a win, I know early on, back in when the schedule got released, you predicted a loss, but even if we both were projecting wins, I think I would have taken a loss more so if it was a closer game. If it was 30-24, because it shows that we were right there in that, and then we just couldn't do enough to win the game. But to get absolutely wrecked like that, it was very disheartening. And now we have a Monday night game against a rival we do not like. A rival where fans of that team do not like us, Northern Steel specifically, because of videos and stuff we've made. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Now they're coming to Pittsburgh, and they just destroyed the Bengals. Now they do have the Bengals number a lot recently. I think they're 5-1 against Joe Burrow, but at the same time, every year's different, and they just shut them down, held them to 3 points. Joe Burrow, fresh off his contract, I don't think he cracked 100 yards passing the ball. The defense dominated with new defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz and the Browns for the Browns. It doesn't look good based on their first game and based on our first game. So, as much as I want to predict a win and hopefully think we can come back, it's going to be really tough. But to give you guys some insight on what a win could possibly look like, let's jump into our next segment, Chris. And for the Steelers to beat the Browns, let's talk about our
keys to the game.
That's right, Chris. Keys to the game. How do we beat the Browns after their great week 1 and our terrible week 1?
Well, it's pretty simple. And let me spell it out for you. It's called not sucking, Dom. Yeah.
That's simple, huh?
No. Yeah, that's all it takes. No, but obviously, like you said, we're coming up against a really intimidating Browns team, which I really hate saying because I don't think the Browns are a good team, nor have they ever been. But what they did week 1 to Joe Burrow and the Bengals is no joke. And like you said with Jim Schwartz, he really incorporated a lot of unique defensive schemes to like really blitz in on Burrow. They lined Garrett up over the middle, and he was, shooting hoops rather than playing football.
I didn't see that.
God, yeah, he got in there, and he was the main reason why Burrow fled the pocket and got sacked in there. So obviously we got to play smarter, which is really hard when we have Matt Canada as our offensive mind. But I believe that we can do it. So here, my keys to the game, first and foremost, is our offensive line needs to be a lot better. And I'm talking both in the pass and the rush. I felt like there were too many times last week playing the 49ers that it just seemed Kenny was getting collapsed on immediately. Granted, he plays probably at his best when he's under pressure, but at the same time, it was just constantly going back there. And we had no run game established. So, and probably one of our biggest keys to the game for this next week is establishing a run game. Najee Harris is averaging 119 yards and I believe a touchdown in his 4 appearances against the Browns that he's played in. The Browns seem to be the team that Najee breaks out in and does his best. Hopefully that can continue. I know the running game is something that was very depleted last week, which we didn't really have time to run because we were already down by a wide margin early in the game. But we got to establish a run game. We got to be able to push the ball downfield. I know last week I spoke on quick passes and just kind of getting it out there. We got to let that ball fly this week. George Pickens was visibly upset. Not saying he needs to be forced the ball, but when you have a dude who's, what's the word? Contested catch is like not 50-50 and it's 90-10. Shoot the ball his way. All right. I get it. I get being scared, not wanting to be picked off. I think George will help you out with that regard. All right. So line's got to play better. We got to unleash Najee Harris. All right. We got to get to Deshaun Watson. That was my third and final key to the game. TJ Watt was in midseason form last week, racking up 3 sacks. He looks fantastic, but now obviously he's going up against DeJuan Jones, who has not let a single pressure as a rookie, and we know we're going to be lining them up against each other. So that's going to be a challenge. Hopefully TJ Watt can best him, which I know that he can. But he's got to get in there. We got to make sure that our guys coming up, like now Keanu Benton, Montravius Adams, the front line, got to get through. And I might expect a big game from Alex Highsmith this week. So just got to get that pressure and not give Deshaun Watson a lot of time to throw the ball or be a field general.
Let's talk about, I'm going to jump in, Chris, and those are great keys of the game, but I'm going to jump in and kind of talk about each one because I have some more to say about each one. So with the first one being the O-line play, I completely agree. I think over everything, the main word for a key to the game for this Monday is physicality. And you have to be physical to beat this team, and you have to punch them in the mouth because we got punched in the mouth this last week, and it derails you quick. And you better come ready to play. You better come angry. So with your first point with the offensive line, yeah, offensive line does need to block better in both regards, passing and running. Passing, here's what it's going to be tough, though, is if Chooks is out, sounds like, again, with weird coaching decisions, sounds like Broderick Jones might play right tackle. Rookie in his first start lining up against maybe Zadarius Smith, who did not play a lot of right tackle in college and has never played in the NFL before. And Dan Moore, who came off the worst passing grading awarded to any lineman last week, playing against Nick Bosa on the left side. So that's not good. I know normally in the past he's had Myles Garrett's number, but that's terrible. When the Steelers did let up pressure through the line against the 49ers, Kenny, when he's escaping pocket and panics, sure, he might be able to complete the pass, but he's missing other reads that he could have made if he was able to hang in that pocket. For example, there was a Calvin Austin crossing route where he made the defender juke out of his own shoes, and he was wide open. But before that happened, the line busted through, and there's people right on Kenny, and he had to sprint out to his right, while Calvin Austin was running away to his left. And there's no way Kenny could have seen that or make that throw when people were in his face like that. But if he would have had that pocket a little bit longer, he could have thrown it to Calvin Austin, hopefully made the right decision, and Calvin would have been gone with his speed. I truly believe that. That happened multiple different times when they're rushing the quarterback against the 49ers. So physicalness with the line, yeah, they got to stay strong. Brown's got a really good front seven, but you got to stay strong somehow. And with the running game with Najee, you have to run it hard. Najee and Jalen, They need to control the clock. They need to control the physicalness. They need to have 100+ yards rushing as a team to win this game. With your next point being, I think you talked about a little bit about the passing game with Pickens and stuff. The reason why I think the running game is so huge this week is because last week we talked about how the 49ers, if there's any weak point in their defense, it was their cornerbacks, in my opinion. And even though they didn't let up a lot and they get 2 picks, I understand that. I do think the wide receivers were left open, and Kenny was also missing throws. He was missing a lot of throws with his inaccuracy. The cornerbacks were the weakest part. And as the Browns, the cornerbacks are a really strong part of their game. Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome on the outside are very good starting duo cornerbacks. Not to mention Emerson as a slot, who plays pretty decently for them. George Pickens is wide receiver 1 this week. Allen Robinson, Calvin Austin. It's going to be very tough to pass the ball. So for Kenny Pickett, as much as we would love for him, who has not had a multi-touchdown game in the NFL yet, as much as I would love for him to just kind of go off and destroy the Browns because F them, I'm not really. What I'm looking for Kenny for a bounce back week this week is for him to just move the ball down the field and convert third downs. Don't hurt the team. Help it in a minimalistic way. If the Steelers won this game and Kenny Pickett was 18 for 24 with like 180 to 200 yards and maybe no touchdowns and no picks, and they won the game, I'll take it. Based on the way week 1 went, I will take it. Passing the ball is going to be a lot harder this week than it was, in my opinion, where that was the key to the game last week. I think running the ball is the key this week. You had another point in there.
Pressure.
I remember. Pressure? Oh, yeah, our pressure. Yeah, I think that's the whole defense. So, the last part, you said pressure, along with the physicalness. Sure, Deshaun Watson, yes, but the main person to stop is Nick Chubb. I think there was, like, you brought up a statistic for the Steelers in terms of Najee Harris running the ball against the Browns. Well, a statistic for Nick Chubb against the Steelers is when he's held under 80 yards, I think the Steelers are 5-1. When he gets more than 80 yards, the Browns usually win, especially if he gets a touchdown. They need to hold Nick Chubb in check. I'm talking Landon Roberts, Quan Alexander, Cole Holcomb need to play way better this week. Run packages need to be way better. The defensive line's kind of lacking, so they need to get in there. Their Browns line is good. Nick Chubb's going to come ready to play. You got to find ways to stop him. And with the pressure, to your point, to Deshaun Watson, I guess my first priority would be Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson didn't really have that great of a game. Not to say that he can't, because they have the weapons, but he didn't have that great of a game. As for the Deshaun Watson game to not work, the secondary needs to play a lot better, obviously. Pat, Pete, and Levi need to play a lot better than they've been playing. I wish they would give Joey Porter more chances at this point, but it is what it is. Again, it comes down to coaching. But when you brought up TJ Watt getting the pressure, going against DeJuan Jones, yes, DeJuan Jones is a rookie, someone who we've talked about on the podcast. He did not give up a sack or a pressure in the preseason. But hopefully, just like how Pat Pete kind of gave Brock Purdy a little bit of fuel to the fire, I'm hoping DeJuan did the same thing by mentioning that he thinks that there's weaknesses and flaws in TJ Watt's game. Sometimes when that happens to us, though, it ends up biting us in the ass, and and then they don't do anything that game, and then people say that they're right. But hopefully TJ can really show out then and use that as fuel to show DeJuan that welcome to the NFL, kid. I'm hoping. DeJuan's a big guy, though. I'm not going to count him out, exclude him out. A lot of people online, a lot of Steelers fans out there have been already saying that DeJuan is in trouble being a rookie. And I'm not so sure. He's a big dude. But we will see what happens. TJ Watt's obviously the dude. He's him. But I'm hoping for that matchup to go in our favor. I think overall, though, Chris, it's physicality. We have to run. We got to stop their run. And I think it's going to be a very, very close game. Do you have a prediction of a score for us, Chris?
So I'm gonna go Steelers on top, but
Yeah,
I think we
unfortunately.
gotta. Yeah, I know. we gotta make a statement and score some points. And I mean, the last two games we played against them, I think have been what 28-14 and 26-14. So I'm
No,
thinking we can.
but
Hasn't it been?
but last two games, what, at home?
Yeah,
Oh, at home, maybe, sure. Not last two games, but yeah, at home, I think, sure. Yeah, probably.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, my
sure.
bad. So I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna 27-17 Steelers.
Wow. 27 points is a lot. That'd be great.
I'm
I'm
hopeful.
also
I'm
gonna,
hopeful.
I don't know why, but we'll see. I'm gonna go with the Steelers win as well.
Like
A
six to
lot
three.
closer. No, I'm gonna go 20-16 probably.
That's a good
2016,
score.
2016, 2017. Something like that. I think it's gonna be a low scoring game until I see any different from our offense. A team where Matt Canada has only scored 20 points, what, like 9 times since he became a coordinator, and the next lowest team has tripled that amount, I believe is what I read. It's losing confidence that we can even score 20 points. So we are going to pick the Steelers, unfortunately. It's a little bit of because we're really hoping they can get a win and not start 0-2. A little bit also because I despise Cleveland and their fans with a burning passion. If you're listening, yes, I'm talking to you. We are now going to go into, quickly, Chris, our game picks. I think Chris won the first week on the NFL game picks.
We're not
And if he
shocked.
didn't, we are. I'm trying to find the schedule right now. But we'll do this, and then we'll wrap this thing up, and I'm going to go to bed. Okay. We also recorded this. Usually record these podcasts on a Wednesday. It is Friday. It's been, like I said, been a crazy week. But Chris and I, we are in a pool with the rest of our family, and I know that Chris and I both picked the Eagles last night, and they did win. So that is what it is. We're skipping that one, but Chris and I did both pick the Eagles. Moving on from that, we got Ravens at Bengals.
Bengals.
Bengals. Seahawks at Lions.
Lions.
Lions. Colts at Texans.
Colts.
Yeah, here's a bad pick by Dominic. I think I'm going to go Texans. Don't really
That's
have
a
an
bad
answer
pick.
for you. Don't really have a reason for you why. Colts look pretty good against the Jaguars, but I think I'm going to go Texans. Bears at Bucks.
I'm going to say Bears here.
I'm going to say Bucks here. Got a little different ones here. Chiefs at Jaguars.
Chiefs.
Yeah, here's another Dominic bad pick. I'm going to go Jaguars. Yes, Travis Kelce's back. Yes, Chris Jones is back. Yes, the Chiefs will probably win. I don't know. It's a gut feeling. I don't want to change it. I'm going Jaguars. Packers at Falcons.
Packers. Wait,
And,
I'm going to say Falcons.
okay, I'm going to go say Packers. We got a lot different this week. Raiders at Bills.
Bills.
Bills for me as well. Chargers at Titans.
Chargers.
Yep. 49ers at Rams.
49ers.
Yep. Giants at Cardinals.
Giants.
Yeah, I'm going to say Cardinals. JK. Giants, obviously. Jets at Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Unless Ben Roethlisberger suits up for the Jets, which he's not going to. I also am saying Cowboys. Commanders at Broncos.
Broncos.
Yeah, surprisingly, also going Broncos. Even though Russell Wilson has not showed me any reason why I need to pick him, I'm also going Broncos. Dolphins at Patriots.
Dolphins.
It's probably a game of the week, I would say, based on the way Patriots played last week against the Eagles. I am also going to go Dolphins. Saints at Panthers.
Saints.
Saints indeed. And then Browns at Steelers.
Steelers.
Here we go.
20-0 in home games for Monday night for the Steelers.
Yeah, that is true. But you know what they say about super long standing records like that?
That we should go to bed.
Yeah, that's what they say. Exactly. Please, this has been episode 56. My brain is now mush. My name is Dominic. This is Chris. I hope you enjoyed this week's short podcast. Next week, let me tell you something about next week. Next week's podcast, we got something special for you. It will not be done super late at night, and we will have a guest on the podcast, and it's going to be a fantastic episode. And if you want to know who the guest is, you're going to have to tune in and find out. But it's a great guest. Here's a little hint for you. We talked to Alex Highsmith's parents last year. Maybe we're talking to another parent of a football player. Who could it be? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or X, if you want to be technically correct. Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Groupon, and Pizza Hut. Chris, got any last words for the people before we play a game against the Browns and see them next week?
Yeah. Go Steelers.
I never would have guessed it. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Peace.